Where'd it go? Okay. Okay, hey everyone, I'm Delaina Burns and I'm with you tonight on Live with Prima. We're going to be making this layered, colorful, glittery, sparkly Julie nutting tag. The new tags have dies, and they're actually older stamps, but Prima made dies for them, so I'm going to kind of show you those. And first thing I want to do is make a few announcements. Our next Live with Prima show will be featuring Sharon, and she's going to do a creamy and dreamy metallic accent paint pans on some gorgeous tags. The new paint pans are fabulous. They're metallic and sparkly, and Sharon's going to show you all about them. That'll be Tuesday, September the 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Also, we have a brand new Instagram page if you want to check that out. We just created a brand new page for our mixed media fans. This page will also have all of our upcoming Live with Prima classes, educator classes, and much more. Follow us on Prima_mixed media. Also, Prima wants to give a call out to all their planner lovers. In celebration of our new Prima planners, we are having a launch party. We are so excited to share this new line of products with you, and we want you to be part of the fun. Join us October 15th, 2016 for an amazing planner launch party. Receive one of the 4 brand new planners. Get up close and personal with our planners and accessories, mini workshops, demos, and much more. Limited space is available, so visit myprimaplanner.com to register and to get more information. So be sure and check that out, and be sure and come on Tuesday to check Sharon's show out. So that's it with our announcements. Going to move my phone out of the way and get started on our tag. You can see I've layered her up. I've used Rossibelle, the really pretty Rossibelle collection that just was released, and lots of different patterns and colors for her. I'm going to change her dress up just a little bit. It'll be similar, but not the exact same paper pattern. And you can see she's got a hat and a little bird and all that, and she's been layered up really nice. Kind of see the layers under there, and she's sparkly and glittery and all that. And it's just paper. I didn't add flowers on this one. I'm going to show you that you can do that. This just has a lot of fussy cut pieces from the actual paper, so I'm going to lay her to the side, or I'm going to actually, I think, stand her up here in front of me so I can be sure I'm putting her back together properly and show you what I have here. This is the actual stamp, and this is an older stamp. This is Rita. So this is Rita, and she comes with a cute little hat, and then this is the die pieces, and there are 3 separate die pieces in here. You get the full body. See the full body? So matches up perfectly with the stamp. You can see it matches up perfectly. You get her pretty little hat. So you get a little hat, and then you get a separate dress piece, and that's how I cut all the pieces for the dress. And this makes these dolls easy, fast, and extremely fun to play with. So I'm kind of looking around right now because I did not pull my glitter, and I'm gonna need my glitter to play with. So let me locate my glitter. I'm gonna reach across the table really quickly. Bear with me just a minute. I'm gonna just hold on just a minute. I'm gonna cover the camera so I don't make you sick, and I'm gonna grab my glitter. Sorry about that. I meant to pull this before I got started. So here we have our glitter. Sorry about that. Let's get lined back up. But I needed the platinum glitter. It's the glass glitter, and the crimson red glitter. So we'll have those right there for when we need them. Just remembered and wanted to make sure I had that. So what you do with these dolls is you take the doll piece first, the doll stamp, and I'm just going to kind of show you this. I've cut these pieces out already, but I'm going to kind of show you how you do this. You would actually take a block and place your doll on. For time's sakes, I'm not going to use the block. I'm just going to kind of demonstrate it. So you will want to use a block that fits the die, that fits the stamp. And I'm going to use the buff pad. So you're going to just take a piece of paper out of the buff pad, or any paper that you want for the body. And you would first stamp your image onto your buff pad. You can see you'll stamp her down, and then you are going to use your die, use your full body die. Once you've stamped her and you've got your image there, if that's your image, you're going to line your stamp up, line your die up on top of your stamp, and you can take a little piece of painter's tape or masking tape, unsticky it just a little bit. I'm gonna have to grab a drink of water. Sorry about that. I've got this tickling cough. But just line your die up and then just run this through your die cutting machine. I have a Big Shot, but it'll go through a Cuttlebug or any of the die cutting, the main die cutting machines that you have. You're going to run her through, and that's what you're going to come out with. And you can see it is a perfectly cut image. No fussy cutting, huge time saver, perfect for all of those that hate the fussy cutting. And then you can just cut layers and layers. So that's going to be your full body. You need one of those. We're going to be sure to have one of those to glue everything to. So we have her. That's that die. The next thing we're going to do is take our dress piece. And we need 3 layers for this dress. This dress is 3 layers thick. So what I did is I cut one, and I just tried to grab some floral papers from the Rossibelle collection, and I'll show you. This is the Rossibelle collection. I used the A4 pad. I've just got scraps of this left. I've done a few projects with it, so I did 3 separate, I cut this one apart, but I did 3 separate pieces. So 3 of these, 3 different papers. You can see all these papers coordinate. And then the solid pink piece here, I cut apart. Be sure, if I didn't say that you stamp first. You'll want to use your stamp. I don't think I said that. You'll want to use your stamp every single time. So you're going to stamp your girl every single time. Just put the ink on the dress. Lay this on top of that. Cut it out through your die cutting machine and do that 3 different times. So you can see you get your details in your dress pattern. You've got these lines that show the folds and show the fullness in the dress and give you all of your details. So stamp, place your die, run it through your cutting machine. That's it. So you want to do 1 body, 3 dresses. Then you want to take your stamp with your little hat on it. Stamp your hat, and I'm using the pink paper. But stamp your hat, and then with your little die piece, match it around there, run that through your die machine, and that gives you your little hat. And that is your basic pieces that you're going to need. The last thing that I did were the gloves. I just stamped my image right across the middle, and I'll show you. I just stamped it right across the middle so that I got the gloves. And there's not a die piece for these gloves, so I'm going to just fussy cut these really quickly. You could leave them and maybe use one of your watercolor pencils or something to shade them in. I wanted them kind of more matchy to the paper, So I stamped these, and I'm going to fussy cut them, and they'll fussy cut really quickly. So be sure and do that. And the next thing we're going to want to do are our shoes. And I thought I had a piece. I thought I had a piece already done with the shoes, and I don't think I do. So I'm going to move this, and really quickly I'm going to show you. I'm going to move these die pieces. I'm going to show you really quickly on this scrap of paper. I'm going to use this pink scrap of paper because I want pink shoes. You want to use permanent ink. This is Stays On. You can use an archival ink, but for all of these images, because we may use some watercolor on them, be sure and use a permanent ink. So we're going to stamp these shoes, just the shoes, with the Stays On ink. And so I just need a little piece here because I'm only going to do the shoes. So just really quickly press down. I'm not even going to use a block. Press down, pull it straight up, and you've got your shoes. And there's not actually a piece to die cut the shoes, so we are going to fussy cut those out. You could color those with your watercolor pencils, or you know, whatever you'd like, markers, anything you'd like, the confections, just whatever you'd like to color them with. But I just wanted them done with the paper, so I am going to cut those out really quickly, and I'm going to show you how fast you can do that. I want all my pieces ready and kind of waiting for me, so I'm gonna do all my cutting ahead. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut these little pieces out, and you just kind of want kind of the end of the shoe. You can go a little outside of that shoe line if you like. I'm going to stay pretty close. And this one you're going to cut two separate pieces. I'm going to have the front of the shoe, and then I'm going to cut the heel separately. So you can see, if I can get this to turn over, you can see there's our one little piece there. And these are kind of small pieces, so if you prefer to kind of color these in, then go right ahead and just color those in. I'm just going to cut that out, and I'm not being really precise with this. I don't really care if it's a little bit off. Okay, and there's the little heel, and then the other, where did it go? Okay, oh, here it is. Fixing to say, oh my, I've lost the other little shoe. But here it is. Just, you're going to just have the front of the shoe. She's kind of pointing her toe. So this is just going to be one little front pointed area of the shoe. So just cut that out. And that's it for our shoes. Next we have our little gloves. I'm going to kind of place these over here so they don't get lost with my little hat. Now we have the little gloves. I'm just going to kind of cut into the dress and cut these little gloves out. Can you kind of see what I'm doing? Is it kind of going in and out? Just cut that out. I'm gonna go down into the dress just a little bit because I'm going to tuck this in kind of behind the dress. I'm going to cut the top out pretty even, but to make it a little bit easier to handle because it is kind of small, you see I just kind of cut down and left some of the dress area there. So next I'm going to cut the other side out, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave a little bit of that dress on there. I'm going to cut down into the dress kind of like so. And that's going to be something I can hold on to because I'm going to want to ink these edges, and I'm going to need something to hold on to. So can't leave the arm, but I can leave the little portion of the dress. So there are our pieces right there. for the gloves. And that's all the pieces that we're going to need. We're going to actually color the hair in using our watercolor pencils. So first thing I want to do on this one, as far as layers for the dress, I'm going to start with this layer here first. With this one, I did the floral, kind of the floral paper, all over floral. I don't have a full sheet of that left, so I'm not going to do that on this dress. The second layer is the solid pink piece, and then the top on this one was the all over floral. And then I just stamped a separate piece and cut out for my little belt there, and you could just fussy cut that if you want to with your scissors to do the exact dress here. But either way, it's all going to coordinate, so I'm not so worried about making it exactly like I made it before. It's going to be similar but not the same. So what I want to do first is grab some ink, just a chalk edger, and I want to give the outside a really good inking all around. Just ink, ink, ink. And kind of get into all the little crevices. Okay, and this back layer, I want to cover the full body with this back layer. I'm going to cover the whole thing. The second layer, I'm going to kind of cut it up just a little bit, but you can kind of move that out to get in there. You can use a marker or something if you like to kind of get into those tight spots right there. Grab my glue. My glue is probably going to be really thick. It's kind of old, so I'm afraid it's probably going to be really thick, but we'll manage with it. You could use a glue stick for this, and I might, if it starts to become too thick, then I may just use the glue stick. But this one you want to kind of glue all over. You want to get down at the bottom, you want to get the top. You want this one pretty adhered to the body of your doll to cover up that buff paper there. So you want to glue that down first. Just kind of get that down really good, just like so. Okay, once I have this layer on, I'm going to be sure that I've got enough ink kind of all on the outsides here. Just be sure you've got it inked up, covering up all that buff pad paper. Just like so. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is grab my colored pencils, my watercolor pencils, and I'm going to use the Julie Nutting set. And I should have been giving you all these numbers, and I have not been given all these numbers, Carrie. I do apologize. I should have been given numbers the whole time. The number for these pencils is 576745. I do have a list of the numbers and everything on Facebook, on my page, on Live with Prima's page, and over in Julie Nutting's Doll Club page as well. We're going to do black for her hair. I need this little pinky color for her skin, and I'm going to use this kind of golden color here, number 88, I think this is, for her skin tone just a little bit too. I'm not going to do a lot with her skin. I'm just gonna kind of shade it just a little. You can see I'm going to kind of pull it up here so you can kind of see. I'm just going to kind of shade just around the edges of her face, just a little bit, just around the edges of her hair, to kind of down one side of her dress here, just kind of like that. Same thing with her arms, just a little bit, maybe down one side here, and just a little to the inside here. And then I'm going to kind of pull this out a little bit with the water. Her legs the same way, just kind of on the outsides of her legs. No really right or wrong way to do this. I love to watch Julie do her shading. I do it really quickly. I'm not the expert like Julie. I just kind of know what I like. So I'm going to grab our watercolor pencil and be sure it's wet. Just grab a paper towel to kind of dab if we need to. Grab a paper towel. What I'm going to do is just kind of spread this color around. Just a little bit. Just kind of spread that color. And I should have thought and not added my dress. Be careful because I'm going to smear this black ink if I'm not careful. I could have done this coloring before I actually added the dress with the black ink. So just be careful. If you do that ahead like I just did, be careful not to smear your black. If you do, just kind of go back in and lift that up with your water just a little bit, and then you can add just a little bit more color. Okay, sorry about that. That's my cell phone. For y'all that don't know, my husband is a train engineer, and we have all these railroad horn ringers on our telephones. I usually have that on silent, but I did not have that on silent. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Skin tone wise, that's kind of all I'm going to do, except take a little bit of this pinky color and add just a little bit to the sides of her face here, kind of for her cheeks. And I'm going to kind of move that around a little bit with the sorry about that, my all my phones are ringing. I do apologize. Okay, we got all this going on and the phone is ringing. I think that's my son. Okay, so that's about all the coloring that I'm going to do. You can kind of see she just got a little bit of a rosy cheek, and I just darkened her skin just a little bit, just tanned her up just a hair. Now what I'm going to do is her hair, and I wanted her to have black hair. And what I'm going to do is just start here at the base of her dress, the top of her little dress sleeve here, and I'm just going to kind of in a circular motion color this up just a little bit. And again, Julie is the expert, and I just sort of don't worry about it too much. I just kind of scribble it on and add a little bit of a water brush. And that's the beauty of the Prima pencils and the watercolor brushes, is they give you such a pretty effect. You don't have to be the professional color artist. You can get the look that you need. What I'm going to do is kind of leave a little open place in the center of her hair here so that it's not so dark there, to give it a little highlight. And I'm going to just darken it up kind of just on the outside edges. It's going to be its darkest right on the outside, and then I'm going to pull that color to the center so that right in the center you have just a little bit of a highlight look, almost like the sun's kind of shining on that area. Okay, and you can see that's just a scribbled mess. Right now that's just a scribbled mess. Then you take your watercolor pencil. I'm trying to hold this up here so you can see. And do you see that just smooths that right out? It just smooths it right out and go right up next to her face. And you just want to keep moving that color. I'm going to kind of stay away from that area right there in the center that I left blank. I want that to appear to be a little bit of a highlight, like a light shining there. Give her hair a little bit of depth and life. Just like so. I'm doing this really fast because I need to move on, but you can take your time and let this dry. Grab your heat tool, dry it well, and add layers of color if you want it darker. But just like that, just like that. That's about what I want. And I'm leaving that right there in the center. I'm going to color it just a little bit and move that color in here around. Just like that. That's about what I want, like that. Gives it a little more natural look. And it's still wet right now, but once it dries, you can go back in and add a little more color and kind of play around with that. You can add a white pencil to give it a few more highlights if you'd like. But that's about what I'm looking for right there. Kind of see. That's that. And that's all we're going to do there. Now I'm going to grab my 3D gloss gel and my, let's see, I don't know how I want to put this on. I don't remember how I actually spread this, but I want to prepare that. We're going to sit that right there. I'm going to grab I think I'm going to put it on with a little paintbrush. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush. Grab a little paintbrush here that's not stiff. I ruin my paintbrushes so often. So we're going to leave that right there. Just have that ready. We've got our glitter here. We've got it ready. Now we want to finish layering up our dress. So the first thing I'm going to do is add this second layer. And what I've done is cut this apart because I want to glue these on separately. So I've cut apart the little belt area along with the bodice part of the dress and the skirt separately. So you can see they just fit right back together. I just fussy cut them right apart. So grab your ink. Ink it up really nice. Be sure you've got plenty of ink on there. The ink helps to give you depth, and what I'm going to do is just kind of roll the dress around. I want to make it kind of pliable and kind of give it some movement. So I'm just going to kind of take my fingers and just gently kind of roll that little skirt up. Going to add glue just to the top of the dress here. Add your glue just to the top portion of your dress. And we're going to adhere that down. Just match it up and just adhere that down right there at the top. Just like so. Just like that. Then we're going to take this top layer and we're going to ink the entire dress. Just kind of get in those little crevices there and just give it a nice coat of ink on the outside. I like to just add it with the chalk edger just like this. You can use your little sponges or whatever you like. I just kind of like to add it. A little bit harder to do it if you've got a brand new ink pad. You may want to try to use an ink pad that's not so new, that's not so juicy that it's going to bleed all over your projects. And then I just kind of separate that and get those the best I can. I'm not so worried if it's not perfect. I just kind of like so. Just get those edges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue to the top bodice part of the dress. I want to add glue all over that. And then I want to add it about halfway down the dress. I don't want to add it to this bottom skirt portion. And then again kind of gently just roll that in, and then we're going to glue it down. Match up your dress, match it all up, glue that down. You see we kind of want these pieces kept separate, so just you can continue to kind of manipulate that kind of like so. And then what I'm going to do is ink up the bodice that we cut apart. Just ink that up. I love the dolls, and I love the layers. I think the more layers you add, the more dimensional you make them, the prettier they are. You can even cut the hair separately. You could do a separate stamp and cut your hair even out of a paper color, a cardstock. If you're not comfortable doing the coloring, you could use a cardstock or something like that to do your hair, and that works as well. My glue's getting really thick, so I knew this glue was old. Something about Fabri-Tac. I need to add some acetone to it maybe because it's gotten really thick. So now we're going to add our bodice just on top of our doll. That just gives our dress, it almost looks like a top and a skirt now at this point. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that look. I wanted it kind of multicolored. So just again kind of go in and separate your layers. Be sure that your dimension is showing. You can offset these a little bit. You can kind of twist them and turn them if you're not going to add, like I'm going to add glitter, but if you're not going to like add glitter or whatever, you could kind of offset them just a little bit to show your dimension. Just whatever works for you. Okay, so we've got that. The next thing I'm going to add, I'm going to grab my little, this is not dried yet, so I'm going to be able to kind of tuck that in, my little glove, ink the sides, make sure your edges are nice and inked, and then what we're going to do is just slide this in. You need to lift your skirt just a little bit. Like I said, it's not quite dry, so we're going to just lift our skirt and add our glove. So let me grab, I'm just going to get some glue on my finger. I'm going to just add a little glue behind there and just place that right down, and that gives you your little glove. Then we're going to lift this side so we can get our glove in, because we left a little extra on that bottom that we're going to tuck in so that it's a really nice fit. I'm going to take my finger again and add a little glue, because that's just really small and I don't want to contaminate the whole glove with the glue. So I'll get the glue off my fingers. I'm going to take my scissors and just sort of push that up into place, just kind of line that up like so. So you can see there's our gloves. There are our gloves. She's already really pretty. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is our little tiny shoes. So grab your shoes. I've got glue, and I just kind of dampen my finger just a little bit and touch that, and you'll be able to pick that right up. This is our little heel, so ink it all around. And you could color this with your colored pencils. You don't have to deal with these little tiny pieces, but for some reason I'm going to grab a glue stick for this. I think a glue stick will make this a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and ink my other pieces, and then I'm going to use a glue stick. Just ink them all the way around. You could use a marker for this. Just ink them up. And if you have a little black that smears onto your shoe, totally fine. It's going to look like it was made that way. Just ink it up, ink it up. It's just a really cool way to make them totally match. But it would be really neat to see what you could do with glitters and different things for these as well. See if I can wipe my fingers off and get this glue stick off. Okay, I'm just going to right to the shoe, add a little bit of glue just for the heel and for the front of the shoe as well. Let's grab our little heel, stick that right down, instant color. Grab our little pointy shoe that's at the front of our other foot and glue that down. You can use your scissors to kind of get it in place, kind of like so. Grab your other one and get it in place. Grab your scissors. Okay, there you go. And she's beautiful just like that. But now we want to add a little hat. So we take the little hat piece, and I'm going to add a little glue with my glue stick to the back of that to make it a little easier. So let's add our little hat. Just place that right there on her head, kind of like so. And again, she's pretty just like that, but we want to take her a notch up. We just want to kind of kick her up to a new level, and we're going to add some glitter, some glass glitter, which just makes her sparkly and extra fun. So let's get rid of our ink so we don't smear ink on everything. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our paintbrush, and I got the brush with the textured end, but it really doesn't matter. Just grab your paintbrush. We're using 3D gloss gel. And we're using glass glitter crimson red, number 962746. Platinum color glass glitter, number 961664. And our 3D gloss gel number is 961367. So what we're going to do is just get a little bit on our brush, and we're just going to kind of follow this outside edge of our dress. And I'm going to show you. My screen went blank. I'm going to show you. You don't have to do this exactly like I did it, but we're just going to kind of go just to the outside edge, and then it's just going to get wider down here at the bottom of the dress. Just, you want this whole little area right here covered with glitter. And we're going to go over on the dress to about right here. And you want this, you don't want it super thick, but you want it so that it grabs that glass glitter. We want a pretty good amount, and that's the best part about this 3D gel. It grabs and holds. So just get that all around that dress, about like that. And I'm mixing the two colors because the red was a little, by itself, was a little too much, and the platinum was just not quite enough. So I'm mixing both. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit in my hand, because I don't want to cover every area. I want to leave some of this open so that platinum color fills in. So just sparingly drop some on there at first, then grab your platinum color and drop some of the platinum color. We want a mix of these two colors, and I didn't want to mix them ahead of time because I wanted larger amounts of each one there, and if you mix them, they're going to be kind of evenly distributed, and I wanted them a little more unevenly distributed. I wanted bigger chunks of color, so that's why I'm doing it like this. So just continue to cover it like so. Okay, we missed a little area right here. Let's grab some of the platinum. Okay, and I'm going to save this, even though it's mixing here, for a different project later, but you can kind of see how we did it right there. Then what I'm going to do is raise up this dress to this underlayer here, and we're going to add just a little bit into this corner right here, like so. Can you kind of see that? And then this bottom layer here too, and since you've already got them rolled kind of up, they're not going to stick together. And then you're just going to get your glitter on there, and again, just kind of sparingly do your red or your platinum, whichever you want to do first, and then do the other color, and that just gives you bigger areas of each color. And then just kind of tap that off. Same thing to this underlayer. Spare it, and then grab your platinum like so. Then what we're going to do is add just a little bit to our hat, just a little bit right down the side here of our hat. We just kind of want to go down that left side, and I'm just going to pick up some here from the table and just drop it there on her hat, because it's not going to be that much there. And if it kind of got out of the line of the hat or whatever, just kind of move it with your scissors and give it a little blow, and it'll move it right off there until that dries, kind of like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of clean my brush off a little bit. I'm going to add just a tip edge to each shoe, just a little bit to the tips of the shoes, kind of like that. And I'm going to pick some up from the table and add it to the tips of our shoes. Okay, and that is that. Then I want to do just a dab. I put my paintbrush in water already. Let me grab this brush. I want to do just a dab on our belt area, the center part of our bodice of our little dress here. A little bit right there. Just grab some from the table and drop that on there. Okay. And that's our doll. They're quick and easy and fun. So that's our doll right there. Let's move this. Now we're going to put our tag together really quickly. I'm just going to kind of scoop this off the table into my hand and put it on a paper towel over here, and we will use it for another project. We want to put this away. We have our tag. What I'm going to do first is ink the outside of my tag. Just give that a good ink. And then what I'm going to do is just start kind of layering this up. Let's lay her over here to dry a little bit. While we're doing this, we're just going to put our tag together. You see, I've got all these layers of paper here, and you can see on the original I used this kind of damask background. So I'm going to see in my scraps if I have a piece of the damask, and I do. So what I'm going to do is just kind of lay my card down. Just going to lay my card down and grab a marker, and I'm just going to kind of give it a quick mark right here and right here, so I'm going to kind of know where to cut it. So I can still see that, and that's just a very fast way. Anne-Marie said, yes, she would look like Scarlett O'Hara if her hat was green. You are right. That's very funny. Yes, she would. Okay, let's just cut our little paper here, and I'm looking for my marks. Since this is a damask, they're a little harder to see. So just cut these up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this entire tag. So what I like to do is, since I want the back to have a print too, for whatever reason, I'm going to turn this over. And we've already inked the edges, so I'm just going to turn it over. And I'm not going to cut my angles yet. I'm going to do that after I've glued it on. So I'm going to add some glue all over my tag. You can use any glue you want. You can use a tape runner or a glue stick or whatever you want. But you can see I've got a guide now to kind of cut these off, these little angles off. So I'm going to do that. I just want to do this really quick. So kind of like so. Grab your ink and be sure and keep the edges inked. Just important to keep that ink flowing because it just helps to give it dimension and detail, and it kind of divides and separates the patterns. It bolds the patterns just a little bit. Okay, we've got that. Then you see I used kind of a monochromatic type color in that background. When you're layering, you just want to be sure that every color is popping, and between each layer of color you don't want a ton of pattern. Kind of the rule to doing things is you want a large print, you want a small print, and you want a solid or a color that acts as a solid as kind of a contrast. So we've used the pink kind of on this layer here kind of as our contrast, even though it's not a complete solid. You just want to kind of mix and match up so that everything's popping. You don't want one thing to overpower another. So I'm going to look for that color for our background. This is it right here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of measure the width of this card. My stuff's dropping in the floor, sorry. The card is about 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. So I'm going to cut my piece here about 2 1/2 inches. About 2 1/2 by probably 6. So let's cut this to 2 1/2 first. And if I'm off camera doing this, I'm sorry. I'm just cutting these layers about 2 1/2. In fact, I'm going to cut it about 3. Let's cut it 3 inches. And if I need to cut a little bit off, I can. So we've got a layer here at 3 inches wide. That's a little wider than what we did the other. And then we just want to be sure that we're covering enough of the inside. So that's going to put us cutting that at about 7 inches, not 6 inches. So let's cut that at about 7 inches. And then we're going to pop that up on a piece of cardboard. So I've already kind of pre-cut a piece of cardboard. Y'all can use Pop Dots or whatever you like. I'm crazy about cardboard because it's free. So we're going to use this piece next. We're going to do this really quick because this is just, it's kind of the fun part to me. Going to add a little glue to our cardboard. And since this is a tag, we're not worried about acid free or anything like that. So just glue that down. Add a little, hate to waste the backs of these papers because they're all so pretty. Now I'm going to think Scarlett O'Hara every time I look at her. We're going to place this down just about like that. I'm going to move it around so it kind of adheres quickly. So you can kind of see that our damask is showing up and our kind of other color here is showing up too. You got a little pattern in that, but it's kind of basically a solid. So the whole reason I'm doing that. The next thing I want to do is, you see I used this little bit of polka dot right here. I like that, and I'll show you what I did to get that. There's not a lot of that polka dot color in this paper. So what I did is I just kind of cut a little bit of that out to use. So just kind of cut you a little chunk out. If there's a little piece that you kind of want, but there's not a lot of it in the paper line that you have, just kind of cut it out. So what I'm going to do is just put it over here on my cutter to kind of square it up a little bit, and then I'll show you. I will show you what I've done, but just kind of like that. Kind of like that, but I want to make sure I got that all squared up. I've still got a piece that's not quite squared. Okay, so just like that is what I want. And what I'm going to do is place this right here on this corner. And what's going to happen is when I place my doll down, she's going to cover that area right there where that meets. So it looks like it's part of that back paper pattern. So I'm getting a little bit of extra pattern besides just the gray tone or whatever's back there. So you want to ink the edges. And this one's going to be a little different than the original one I did, and I'm okay with that. So just kind of place that right about there. Line it up on your edge. Kind of like that. Okay, and if you've noticed on this one, I have this heart pattern here and here. And I want to show you, it's kind of an open heart pattern, and I want to show you why I love Prima Products, because they make the most fabulous things. This is a metal die that cuts confetti. And you can see that I've got this one ready. I got this one ready. I'm pulling it from the die. Like so. You see all my little hearts falling. And if you really want you want all the hearts to kind of fall out, run your tool kind of across there, and you're going to get all these little confetti heart pieces. And you're going to be left with this image right here. So what I did was exciting is I just kind of used it, kind of chopped it out a little bit, just cut you a piece apart. Just don't waste anything. Just proves that you don't waste anything. So let's move all of our little confetti pieces. I'm going to save these for another project. I'm not going to use these with this one. I'm just going to push them to the side of my table. So what you want to do is just kind of cut this so that it goes in behind your doll here. So I only want a small piece, so I'm going to cut across here, cut across here, and just kind of line that up where it's going to kind of fit. I'm going to square this top with my cutter. I'm just going to kind of cut a straight line across the top. I'm just going to eyeball it, cut that out, and so that means I've got the top pretty straight. So what I'm going to do is just kind of chop this out right here. And this is going to be hid, but I'm going to tuck it under anyway. I'm going to kind of, the doll's going to hide it, but I'm going to tuck it under. And I didn't want that solid right there. I didn't want a solid piece, so I just kind of laid it there like that. And then I just kind of clipped it out, kind of like so, because I just wanted a little bit of that pattern there. And then what I did, I had this piece right here left, and I had this piece right here left. So what I did is I squared it. I cut a straight edge, and I'll show you as soon as I cut it. I cut a straight edge down my hearts. I've got a straight edge there, and then I just kind of eyeballed it. You can do this with your cutter as well, but I kind of did that right there, and you can kind of see, just kind of lined that up. Just kind of cut that one little edge off right there, and just kind of lined that up right there. And that is how I created that little, it's just a little bit more detail. And I'm going to use my, well, I was going to use my glue stick, but I don't see it now. Let me grab another glue stick. I want to use a glue stick for this because it'll be easier. So just kind of up here, just use your glue stick kind of on that. Adhere that right down right there. So just get it kind of even. Kind of like so. You can just, anytime you've used these confetti dies, can you show the die? Oh, yeah, I can show the die. Here's the die. The die. And there's the packaging. It is number, sorry about that, guys. It is number 587109, and it's the heart die. There's stars, there's lots of different shapes. I think there's 6 different ones, and they are all fabulous. Completely fabulous. So we want to add our glue to that. We're going to glue it right here. My goal with these dolls and these tags is just lots of layers, lots of textures, just lots of different things that you want to add there. Okay, so what I want to do now is pop up my girl, and I'm going to add some cardboard to the back of her. Just really quickly add some cardboard to her. Just a little piece right there. And a little piece right here. And that's about all it's going to take to pop her off this tag so that your cardboard's nice and hid. Just add her right about there. There she is right there. I'm going to grab my hole punch here real quick because I want to be sure I've got a hole here to, and you've already got a hole on this one side. Oh, my glue's falling. Hold on, I'm going to do this really quick. Just punch your hole out there so you've got your hole. And then get your glue back on there. Glue her down. And then I've got some fussy cut pieces already ready. I just went into the floral papers, and I'm going to move all this glitter. I went into the floral papers and I just cut out images, just floral images and things. And this is a flower that I cut from the floral paper. I used the A4 pad, and I just use the different papers. So this is actually a floral paper that was included on the A4, which I don't have a whole piece of anymore. So I just at first tucked one of those right down in there. And then I had these two flowers, and this is just a piece. So save even your pieces of flowers, because you can tuck them in. Just ink your edges. And I want to tuck these in beside our doll. Like right beside her right there. Just kind of tuck that in. Turn the edges up just a little bit to give them a little dimension. Here's another one. Again, just give it a little dimension. Tuck that one in right about there. And I've got, let's see, grab a few more pieces. I want to do a kind of a long area of flowers right there. So look through your papers and see. There is a paper in here. I know that I can cut that from really quickly. I'm down to, I'm getting more paper tomorrow, but I am down to just scraps of paper to finish this project. So, okay, let's do this one right here. We can cut this. We're going to cut this little section of flowers, and you're going to see I'm going to do this really quickly. And I'm not going to cut the whole thing. So you see I'm going to go in and I'm just going to get the biggest pieces of this, and I'm going to do it fast. So you can kind of see this is going to be lickety split, as we would say here in Alabama. Done and done. Just like that. And I'm not even going to worry about this because I'm going to tuck it in. So just fast. Just about like that. So add a little glue to the back. And we are going to tuck this in right under this flower, right in behind her dress, right here. Just kind of like so. Just giving that a little more. Then we're going to take our little leaves that I cut out here, and all of this was cut out, fussy cut from the floral paper. So just choose a leaf and cut it out. Just really any leaf that you've got that you can find there to cut. We want to kind of add it in behind this large flower here, right about there. We have another leaf here with a little foil on it. The 12 by 12 papers, the Rossibelle and the Christmas line, the Sweet Peppermint, the 12 by 12s are foiled. So that's really nice to have the foil on the papers, and you can cut around them and just make really pretty floral with foil and all the images on there with the foil mixed in. It's really great. Gonna add a leaf right about here, kind of like so. Got a few more leaves here. These have foil, and I think I've already inked these edges. I have. So let's add a little glue and get that in right about here. Just about like that. I think that's about all we need. Okay, the next thing I'm going to add are these little, they're called Druzzy Stones, and they come in lots of different colors. I'm going to use the silver ones here. This is number, well, if I can get them out, I need two of them. This is number, these Druzzy Stones are number 991807, and these actually go with Sweet Peppermint, so you can kind of mix them and match them if you'd like. Let's move our ink out of the way. So we want to add a little glue. This is going to give us a little more sparkle. We're going to add it to the center of this flower right here, and then we're going to make a center for this flower right about there. Just kind of pretend we have to have a little center, and that adds just a little more sparkle. And then the last thing that I did was add some Hug Snug seam binding. So just grab a little seam binding, cut it off, and all I'm going to do is just really quick You can add one of the little metal covers. I can't think what that's called, but one of the little metal covers if you would like to. I'm not going to do it for time purposes, but you can add that. Let's add our little ribbon, kind of poke it through there and pull it up. I've cut way too much ribbon, but we'll make it work. We'll cut off what we don't need. Just kind of tie a knot and then tie a bow. I'm not a fabulous bow tire, but I manage. So we're going to tie one bow, get that tied down. Then we're going to do another bow. Well, if I could stop pulling it out, we'll tie another bow. Let's get that back in there. Tie it down. Then we're going to tie a double bow. Tie another bow. Okay, like so. Then we're just going to kind of cut these off like that, and then I'm going to just kind of smush this up. I love this kind of wrinkled up look. So we just got kind of a wrinkled up bow there, and you can play with that and get that exactly like you want it. But that's it. That's our tag. That's our tag with our bow. That's our Julie Nutting, and that's our original. And you can see just changing the dress up a little bit. It still all is perfectly coordinated. And there she is. So thank y'all so much for joining me. I am so happy to have been with you tonight. And I will kind of close it down from here. Hope if you have any questions, you can ask me on Facebook. I feel like I kind of hurried through that a little bit. So move all of my mess. And you can just kind of see the two finished. So that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, and one thing I didn't add was our little bird. We do have a little bird here that I fussy cut. So don't forget to fussy cut your little bird and add your little bird there. But that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to sign off. Don't forget to join Sharon on Tuesday, and don't forget about the planner activity. Y'all know y'all are going to want to see that and join in on the fun with that. Make sure you go and have fun. That's it. Thanks a lot for joining me. Bye now.